Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my movie vlog. My name's John Campia, and this is the companion video. Now, every morning on the John Campia Show, that's our main show, and every afternoon on Open Mic, we take live questions from you guys, the audience, but sometimes we don't have time to get around to all the questions that get sent in. But I want to make sure you guys know that when you send in those questions, they do get answered, so I gather up those unused questions, and I bring them here to the companion video to make sure they do get addressed. So, without wasting any time today, let's dive right into it. And the first question we're getting caught up on today comes to us from Mr. Film, who writes, is Heathers I'm going to assume you mean Heathers with an S. Is Heathers a terribly underappreciated film in movie culture? A movie so far ahead of its time and too relevant to today's suicide increase. Love this film. I don't know that it's an underappreciated film. I mean, you're talking about the film Winona Ryder, Christian Slater, I almost said Christian Bale, Christian Slater, Shannon Doherty from 90210. I find that it actually has a pretty solid place. I think when you talk to a lot of film maniacs, they'll remember Heathers and they'll talk about Heathers. And yeah, there are themes and subjects in it that if you watch it now for the first time, it certainly would give you an impression that it was maybe a bit ahead of its time. But I don't know that it's terribly underappreciated, because I find when you talk in certain circles about Heathers, it does seem to have a good amount of appreciation. And people seem to recognize that it was a bit ahead of its time. Now look, I'm not like one of those people who thinks it's one of the all-time great films. Like, I thought it was a really solid film. I do feel like it was a little bit ahead of its time. But I really don't think it's that underappreciated. Like I said, when I am in certain circles and the topic of the movie comes up, it seems to have a lot of respect. It seems to have a lot of respect. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that, while I agree it's a movie that was ahead of its time, especially thematically. Like, thematically, it was absolutely ahead of its time. But no, I personally wouldn't say, because I do feel like it does get its due. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the way I kind of see it in the circles I travel in. Maybe your experience has been a little bit different, Mr. Film. Let's see. I don't get likes. What's a great username? Writes, why would you be so worried about the X-Men joining the MCU? I trust Marvel to balance it out. Well, because I already feel like without the X-Men, it's already starting to feel overcrowded. Like, I love Avengers Infinity War. I do. But, you know, I've always said from my first screening of the film, one of the drawbacks of the film was it's really feeling overstuffed. It's feeling really top-heavy at this point. And I'm concerned in a universe, in a cinematic universe that to me is already feeling overcrowded. Now you're going to come in and introduce 25 other key list characters? Like a Wolverine or a Phoenix or I don't know, what other, like you're gonna bring Banshee over, you're gonna Beast over, Professor X, you're gonna bring Cyclops over, you're gonna bring Magneto, like, because to me it's already feeling crowded. Like, you take Avengers Infinity War and like it really did feel like it was bursting it was like collapsing a little bit under its own weight. Like, what the Russos did was amazing. Because that film, there was a little bit too much going on and there were too many characters. I feel like the film would have been served a little bit better had they been about 3 more characters short and maybe one subplot less going on. It probably would have flowed even better. But that being as it is, I thought the Russos did an amazing job taking what they had and making something really special out of it. They did, but just because I really liked the film doesn't change the fact that I felt like you could feel the weight of it. And now you've got another big major character in a Captain Marvel coming in. They have already talked about others they have coming, adding in an X-Men. Look, will they find a way to make it work? Sure. But you know what? To me, the X-Men is working right now. You know, now, yes, you do get your odd Fantastic Four. Absolutely. But this is right now where it's at, where the X-Men universe is at, gave us some of the best comic book movies of the past 10 years. I'm not saying the best, but like just great comic book movies with X-Men Days of Future Past. Amazing. That's a top 10 all-time comic book movie to me. Whether you're talking Logan, probably a top 3 all-time comic book movie to me. Talking about Deadpool and Deadpool 2, X-Men First Class, the original X-Men film, X-Men 2, which for a long time I thought was the best comic book movie ever. Now, granted, that's an older film, but you're going back ways. But I know it works where it's at. Whereas Maybe they'll find a way to make it work, and I'm sure they'll find a way to make it work, but now you're going to shoehorn it into an MCU that to me is already feeling overcrowded. Now, a lot of people try to throw this lame argument at me. Well, John, in the comic books, this isn't the comic books. This is a different medium altogether. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're somebody who feels that it would work just fine, that's great. I mean, that's all opinion. That's fine. But the whole comic book argument is completely invalid. It's a totally different medium. It's a totally different medium than what they're trying to set up in a live action film environment. So yeah, like I said, I'm not saying it's going to be a disaster if Disney gets X-Men. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying is the way it's working right now, where you have another studio making some really quality comic book movies, which gives us different flavors of comic book movies, which gives us more comic book movies altogether, than just shoehorning them into the MCU and maybe, we're going to get a lot fewer movies. They're going to be more homogenized. And I just kind of like things the way they are right now. But that's just the way I feel. I know a lot of you guys feel different. That's totally cool. I accept that. But yeah, I would still really like to see Disney not get their hands on X-Men. I know that's not a popular opinion, but it's the one that I have. So it's the one I got to say. Let's see. Sid Vicious writes, with Ford v Ferrari getting a June 28th release date, are they trying Dunkirk route to Oscars? It's $100 million movie, which will be #1 that weekend. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but I'll go back to the first part where I did know where you're asking. Are they taking the Dunkirk route to the Oscars? I don't know. That's a good question, because honestly, I was a little bit surprised to find out that Ford v Ferrari. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Ford v Ferrari is, that's the Christian Bale and Matt Damon, and John Bernthal may also be in that movie. But John Bernthal's in talks to play Lee Iacocca. So it's based on a true story. It's like set in the 60s, the whole racing culture. Everything about this screams Oscar potential to me. So I was a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, to hear that they were taking it into a summer release date. And honestly, the first thing that kind of came into my mind, Sid, was that whole notion is like, well, going the Dunkirk route. Because it worked pretty well for Dunkirk, and Dunkirk made a lot of money. Actually, Dunkirk might have made more money releasing when it did than if it released in a traditional Oscar season kind of release. Because Dunkirk made a pretty good amount of change for an Oscar-nominated film, right? So it could be. It could be that the studio looked at it and said, you know what? Dunkirk made bank. And believe me when I tell you, the producers care more about making bank than getting another Oscar on their mantle. But that it could be the precedent of Dunkirk and what it was able to do last year. That could have weighed very heavily, Sid, into their decision-making process. I don't think you're way off base on that. All right. Next up comes to us from Rami J. Royster, who writes, I feel Jurassic World 2 is underrated. Thoughts? I don't think it's underrated. I mean, here, let me just pull this up here quickly. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Rotten Tomatoes. It currently has, drum roll, it's got a 50%. That means half the critics like it, half the critics don't. And honestly, I might have put it somewhere around 60%. I would, so not far off. I liked it. I had a good time with it, but it's got its weaknesses. I think it's the best Jurassic Park movie other than the original, but that's not really saying much because I don't think any of the other Jurassic Park films other than the original have been all that great. And I think this one's pretty good, but honestly, that's right around, 50-50 split. So yeah, I honestly don't feel like it's underrated. I feel like it's right around where it should be. I mean, is it underrated a little bit? Maybe a little bit, but it's, I expected it to be a little bit divisive. It's not going to be for everybody. I think there's going to be some people that look at it and just think it's a little too corny. They just do a few too many eye-rolling things in it. For me, it was compensated enough with some good, fun action and entertainment. But yeah, I can see where it is. So I'm gonna say I don't think it's underrated. I think it's falling kind of into that area where I thought it might. And so that's just the way I see it. Clearly, Rami, you feel differently, and that's totally fine. That's the subjectivity of film. All right, next one. Jake Smith writes, Hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Jake. Just canceled Movie Pass. Can't wait to sign up for A-List. So I have signed up for A-List. I signed up for it the other day. And actually today, on Thursday, I'm going to use it twice. I got $32 in movie tickets just for today for my $20 a month pass. Just today, in one day, I've got $32 in movie tickets. And that doesn't even count the discounts I'm going to get at the concession stands when I go there. So totally worth it. I was able to buy them online, book my seat, reserve my seat in advance, all that kind of stuff, and get 2 tickets to 2 different movies on the same day. All of that you could not do with MoviePass. You couldn't do any of that with MoviePass. Book it online? Nope. In advance? Nope. Picking your seat in advance? Nope. 2 movies on the same day? Nope. None of that could you do with MoviePass. And I was able to do it so now I'm going to go see Sicario Day of the Soldado because I haven't seen that yet. And it actually opens in theaters tomorrow night, so I'm going to run out and check it out. And I figured, you know what, since I'm going to be over there anyway, I want to see Won't You Be My Neighbor again. So I'm going to go watch Won't You Be My Neighbor again tomorrow. So I got a great double header coming up a little bit later tonight. So yeah, so congrats on signing up for it. I just used it for the first time, and the experience was glorious. Glorious experience. Toonie2 writes, I agree now with you on Star Wars has to expand the universe and tell new stories with new characters. But how far should they go? Could they go too far? I don't think so. When you're talking about a limitless universe spanning tens of thousands of years, you can do anything. You can tell any genre of story you want in the Star Wars universe. You could tell a crime drama. You could tell an action adventure. You could tell a political intrigue story. You could tell a horror film in the Star Wars universe. You could tell a thriller. You could tell a rom-com. In the Star Wars universe, you are literally free to explore and tell any kind of story you want in this incredible universe that George Lucas created. So no, I honestly, and some stuff will be good, some stuff will be bad, sure, but I honestly don't think there's any limits. I don't think there's going too far. I think they can do anything. If they ever actually just sacked up and had the gumption and the fortitude to actually step outside of their comfort zone and do something different. Expand the universe a little bit. And if they did, I honestly think sky's the limit. I really do. I really feel like the sky's the limit. All right, next up is Ryan Gosper, who writes, how high could this bidding war go with Disney and, I think you mean Comcast? Well, I'll be honest with you. I feel like it's as high as it should go. Honestly, I think the current winning bid, the current bid, is $71.3 billion by Disney. And I already feel that's too much. I really do. I feel that, and Disney didn't want to spend that much. They thought they were going to win it with a $52 billion bid. Now they're spending $20 billion more than they were anticipating. Anyway, I already think that it's too much. I do not think Comcast should put in another bid. Everybody knows I'm cheering for Comcast because I want 20th Century Fox as a studio to stay intact, and I want them to continue making Deadpool and X-Men movies. And that only happens if Comcast wins. So I'm cheering for Comcast to win. But I don't think they should bid more than that. I really don't. However, market analysts are saying right now that they think this bidding war could get up to $90 billion, which is just stupid. Because Time Warner, which is worth more than Fox, just sold for 80-something billion, and now Fox may go for 90? It's ludicrous. To quote Spaceballs, it's ludicrous speed. Absolutely ludicrous. That kind of money. And just to clarify again, some of you may have heard yesterday, but I thought I heard the deal got approved yesterday. No. It was provisional approval from the government saying, yeah, we basically would approve this deal provided, if you win this bid, that you sell off certain parts because that would be a monopoly. But the stockholders, the shareholders of Fox still haven't voted, and that's the only vote that counts. As a matter of fact, Fox even canceled. See, the shareholders of Fox were supposed to vote on July 10th. That's when this whole thing would have been done. July 10th, the Fox shareholders would have voted and it would be done. I have a feeling Fox now is wanting Comcast to put in another bid, because what Fox just did was canceled their shareholder vote. So that's going to be pushed back even further. You know Disney wants that Fox shareholder vote tomorrow. Disney wants this thing done. But Fox canceled it. I think they're trying to keep the door as open as possible for it to invite Comcast to come back in and make an even more ridiculous offer. So, I mean, this thing's way long from done. But again, I think it's already gone as high as it should. I think Comcast should bow out, even though I wish they would have won this thing. But at $71.3 billion, I think Comcast should bow out. It should go to Disney at this point. And I think that's as high as it should go. But again, I'm reading Bloomberg yesterday and I'm reading the Wall Street Journal, and they're all saying this thing could go as high as $90 billion, which is just ludicrous. Just stupid. But hey, man, we'll have to see where this thing goes. Alan Gonzalez writes, OMG, John, I have a theory for Avengers 4. The extra footage or misleading footage in the trailers, I think that is from Avengers 4. It's not. And Alan, you're not the first one to suggest that. That's been a very, very popular theory. But Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers already shot that down. That was not footage from Avengers 4 in any way, shape, or form. So no. But you know, feel good about the fact that you're in good company. There was a lot of people who had that sort of speculation and that sort of theory. But Feige and the Russos shot that down. It's like, no, it wasn't. Because it would be kind of ridiculous. It's like, so in Avengers Infinity War, we had this big battle where they're all in Wakanda and Captain America's leading the charge with them, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to do the exact same thing in Avengers 4. I can't see them doing that. And besides, like I said, Feige and the Russos already definitively put that to rest. That's not the case. But again, Alan, don't feel bad because you're not the only one that had that theory. There was a lot of people who had that theory at first as well, but that theory has been shot down. Daniel Briggs writes, everyone talking about Incredibles 2 and Ant-Man, but I live in England, so here's to avoiding spoilers for a month. Yeah, man, that sucks. And of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp was supposed to open at roughly the same time in England as it opened in North America. But then Disney decided to push back the release date in England of Ant-Man and the Wasp because they were afraid with the World Cup going on that it might affect the box office of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, maybe they're right and maybe they're wrong. It's just unfortunate that a lot of you guys over there, you got screwed. And now, great, only screwed for a month, but screwed nonetheless. Because now you're going to have to hear everybody talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you got to sit there patiently and wait for the damn movie to come out. And I don't blame Disney. It was probably a good business move on their part. It's just unfortunate that the circumstances, like I said, led to you guys getting screwed. So really sorry about that. All right. Next up, Josh DeRose. And you know what, guys? I know it's going to be a little bit loud, but it's kind of warm here in Southern California. I know you're going to hear it. I know it's going to be kind of loud. So if you'll indulge me, though, I'm going to turn on the air conditioner in here just because I don't know if you can tell, I'm already starting to sweat in here. So just it's particularly warm right now. Okay, so hopefully it won't be too terribly distracting for the rest of the show. I know you can hear it, but I apologize about that, but I'm simply not going to be able to keep doing the show unless I turn the damn air conditioner on. All right, Josh DeRose writes, I saw your Getting Started video. I'm finishing my journalism degree and aiming for film punditry. How helpful would it be to move from Edmonton to LA? Well, I mean, it really all depends. I started my film punditry career from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I did it from there for years. And I was perfectly successful and perfectly happy and doing it from Hamilton, Ontario. Now, I then decided to come down to LA and just check it out for a year. But then I, met the girl of my dreams, fell in love, and I ended up moving here permanently. But honestly, you can do it from Edmonton, but it all depends on what your goals are, right? If your goal is to start your own platform, your own outlet, you can do that from Edmonton. You can do that no problem from Edmonton. I did it. You can do it. If your goal is to work for like a Deadline or a Variety or a Hollywood Reporter or something along those lines, then living in LA has its advantages. Definitely it's an advantage to then live in LA at that point. But honestly, I got my career started and got myself living completely off my stuff by doing it in just from Canada. So, and look, there are news outlets in Canada that need entertainment journalists. You might want to focus there. So it really all depends. And not to mention, there are advantages to moving into LA, but remember also in LA, you're going to have 5,000 times the competition, right? So there's a lot of different variables you got to weigh out there. I would say just look at staying in Edmonton, to be honest with you. All right, next one. Michael Morgan writes, John, what do you think of Cinemia now charging back the convenience fees to your credit cards? Keep up the filthy. Yeah, heard about that. Honestly, I think that's fine. Cinemia offered to pay for your movie ticket, right? And if you go to the movie theater and buy your ticket there, you get your ticket. There are some online places like Fandango that charge an online convenience fee. That's not a part of your movie ticket. That's not a part of your movie ticket. The online convenience fee is a separate fee that a third party is charging you. So Cinemia's covenant with you and me as a customer is we, Cinemia, will pay for your movie ticket. The convenience charge is not a part of the movie ticket. That's something separate. And only something you get charged if we use an online ticketing service, say like a Fandango or something, right? I think Cinemia, therefore, is perfectly reasonable. That say, hey, we're buying your movie ticket, but these extra service charges that Fandango's charging, that's on you. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Now, there's a good trick around that, though. Let's say you're an AMC, you go to an AMC theater. Become an AMC Stubs member. It's $12 a year, and you get concession stand discounts, all that kind of stuff. Become an AMC Stubs card member, and being an AMC Stubs card member, that waives your online convenience fees, even if you're using a site like Fandango. So what I would do is, I would use my Cinemia card to book a ticket on Fandango, but on my Fandango account, I've got my AMC loyalty number on my account on Fandango. So as soon as I buy a ticket on Fandango, Fandango goes, oh, he's a loyalty member of AMC. AMC covers all the online ticketing prices, no service fee. So I was able to use my Cinemia card and still not get charged any online ticketing service charges because I was an AMC loyalty program member. And there's probably other theater chains that have the same sort of deal if you look into it. So I think it's perfectly reasonable for Cinemia to charge you something that's not a part of the movie ticket. But at the same time, for you as a consumer, there's still ways around that convenience charge. If you just look into the loyalty program of whatever your movie theater of choice is, there's probably a way around that. There certainly is if you're an AMC customer. Okay, anyway, hope that was helpful. All right, next one comes to us from Samir Tesfai, who writes, love your show, John. Keep doing you, and may the force be with you. Thank you so much, Samir. It's always nice when somebody just wants to take time and just send you a positive message like that. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. All right, next one comes to us from Bryce Bradford, who writes, love the show. It's me and my twin bro Brian's birthday. Well, obviously this is now happening probably a couple of days after you sent that, but happy belated birthday to both you, Bryce, and your brother Brian. That's actually really good names for twins, Bryce and Brian. I like that. Kudos to your parents for doing that. So happy birthday, man, belatedly. Alex Bose writes, worried to be Canadian in the USA? To what supervillain would you compare Donald Trump? Dr. Evil? Well, I don't worry about being a Canadian in America at all. I mean, I can go home anytime. I just take my wife and away we go back up to Canada. As far as which supervillain would I say Donald Trump in, you know what? I have, like everybody else, I have political opinions. I have political thoughts. I'll even talk about my political opinions and thoughts on my social media channels. But here on my YouTube channel, this is a, for the most part, politics-free zone. So I do not make comments about Donald Trump or anything like that. I generally stay away from politics. Now, some people will say, but John, you say you stay away from politics, but I've heard you talking about equality and things like that, because issues of equality are not political issues. People may try to lie to you and say they're political issues. Issues of equality are not political issues. They're human issues. I'll talk about human issues, but I won't talk politics. And so I will respectfully decline to answer your question about which supervillain would I compare Donald Trump to. I'm going to skip that because that's not what we're about here on my YouTube channel. Don't blame me for asking, but just not what I'm about here. Preston Walden writes, Just signed up and seeing my first film with AMC. That's awesome. Again, I'm excited. A little bit later today, I'm going to my first 2 films of the program, and so far, as long as I'm able to now check in there and get in no problem, it has been a joy. Using the apps, I want to see this movie and I want to see this movie. Boop, $0. You're all set. Here's your digital ticket. Now I just got to go to the theater with my digital ticket, let them scan it, and woof, away I go. If it works that easy, as it has so far, this new service is a dream, man. Okay, Gabe Campbell writes, Jurassic World 2 didn't work for me. It's funny, I just had somebody write, don't you think Jurassic World 2 is underrated? Now we got Gabe writing, saying Jurassic World 2 didn't work for me. Big twist made me roll my eyes. I don't remember there being a big twist, but whatever. It didn't feel like Jurassic Park, and that second half of the movie was even less so. Well, I didn't need it to feel... Jurassic Park, so how old is it again? 20 plus years old? I don't need a Jurassic World movie to feel like Jurassic Park. Just carry on with some of the themes. Again, I can see why, totally, I can see why there are people like you, Gabe, who didn't like the movie. Totally see it. For me, it worked. It was entertaining. I think the good stuff in the film outweighed the very real bad stuff. There's very legitimate bad stuff in that film, absolutely. For you, the bad stuff outweighed the good. For me, the good stuff outweighed the bad. But it's certainly not a great movie. It's certainly not a great movie, but I was entertained by it enough so that I think it's the second best one in the series. Again, that's not saying much, but to me, it's the second best in the series at that part. But for you, it didn't work as well. Hey, man, that's the subjectivity of film. I wish you had a better time at it, but you didn't. C'est la vie. We move on to the next movie. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, though, Gabe. Ali Hussein writes, John, love your show. Thank you so much, Ali. Have you seen the Westworld season finale? If so, thoughts? Yeah, I thought it was terrible. You know what's funny? I was liking season 2 more than season 1. Wasn't a big fan of season 1. I liked it okay. Season 1 definitely had a few episodes that were killer, and then a lot of wasted time in between those killer episodes. So overall, I thought season 1 was okay. I thought for a time that season 2 was better than season 1. But it got really pretentious. Like, it got so much that you can tell that, oh my God, the showrunners think they're so smart. Like, that's all I could think watch is like, oh, I can just see the writer's room going, oh my gosh, let's do this weird thing. Now let's do this. Oh my gosh, that's so smart. When actually what they made was a really overly contrived mess. And it became an overly contrived mess to me. Like, a sign of a good show is not when everybody doesn't know what's going on at the end. That's a sign that you did a good job. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can have a complex, deep, intricate story. It's still your responsibility to make sure you tell that story in such a way that your audience comes along. And I just found that whole, especially the last half of the first season was a whole jarbled mess. The best episode of the season, I cannot remember the character's name, but the Indian character, that whole episode about him, to me, that was like the best. That was the highlight of that was a great episode. And Shogun World, that was also a really cool episode. I liked that episode a lot. But it just got way too contrived to me. And ultimately, so much stuff that they were going for became meaningless. And I honestly, I don't think I'm going to watch season 3. If it does get a season 3, and I'm assuming it will, I'm probably not going to watch season 3, which is, again, is weird, because if you've been watching me, when the season started, you heard me going, hey guys, I actually think this season is better than last season, and then it ends, and I'm like, nah, felt kind of pretentious, to be honest. But anyway, that's just me. Maybe you loved it. I know a lot of people did, which is great, but yeah, it just didn't work for me. DeQuincy Travis writes, Creed 2 looks awesome. Yeah, it does so far. $100 says they put that towel moment in there. Drago gets Adonis in the corner, just molly whooping him. I love that phrase, molly whooping. Somebody screams, throw the damn towel! And Rocky starts having a flashback in the corner. I'll take that bet. I don't think they're going to do that. Now, I think the towel, that's clearly going to be an issue in the movie. You know, Adonis... or Apollo, I should say. Apollo died, because Rocky didn't throw in the towel. Now, if you want to get specific, Apollo died because he wouldn't let Rocky throw in the towel. But that has to haunt Rocky. That has to haunt him. Especially now that he's got Apollo's son in his life. It must haunt him. And you got to wonder, is there some of that? Is there going to be some resentment that comes out of Adonis in this one because of it? So I think the towel thing will become an issue, but I don't see it playing out. It's a little too on the nose, you know what I'm saying? I don't see it playing out in this movie like the first one. That's a little too on the nose, a little bit too predictable, and at that point it becomes kind of, really? It becomes a little cheesy at that point. So I 100% agree with you that the towel issue will become an issue and a central issue in the film. I don't think they're going to play it out a beat for beat like they did in Rocky 3, or Rocky 4, sorry, with the, throw the damn towel, and he doesn't throw the I don't see them doing that, to be honest. Again, it's just a little too on the nose for me. But the theme, DeQuincy, for sure is going to be in there, no doubt. All right, let's see. Robert Perez writes, good morning, John. Did you get your AMC card? One of the great things about this AMC thing is that there is no card. Unlike Cinemia and MoviePass and stuff like that, where you got to wait around for some card, there is no card. It's just a part of the app on your phone. It's great. It's totally cardless. It's magnificent. I love it. So that's one. So I did get my membership, and thankfully, no card, which is one of the great things about it. Jack Reacher writes, Jurassic made $150 million. Incredibles 2 made $180. They came out back to back. Does this mean the excuse that Solo, in part, didn't succeed is undermined? Pun. If Solo wanted to, it could have done. If Solo was wanted, it would have done fine. No, it's an apples to spaceships comparison. Look, Jurassic, and by the way, Incredibles 2 took a 55% drop going into week 2. When you're a quality movie like that, it should have taken a smaller drop, but you have another, no pun intended, monster movie like Jurassic World opening. It had a bigger impact on it. It took a 55% drop. But, that's fine, whatever. And it should be noted that while Jurassic World made $150 million, it made like 50, 60, however many, 60, 70 million dollars less on its opening weekend than the first Jurassic World did. So these are there. But again, it's an apples to spaceships comparison because Jurassic World and Incredibles 2 are two completely different movies going after completely different audiences. You got the family film and you got the Spielberg X big monster movie film. They are two totally different movies with totally different audiences. Some overlap, sure, absolutely there is. But for the most part, they're completely different. As opposed to, say, a Solo and a Deadpool 2, which is going after a hell of a lot of the same demographic. Now, again, I think that was a contributing factor, but I still say, and I've been saying this for over a year, nobody asked for a Solo movie. It was never wanted. Nobody wanted a Harrison Ford-less Han Solo movie. Nobody asked for it. And I've been saying that all year. And that, more than the fact that it opened on Deadpool 2's second weekend and all that kind of crap, that's the bigger issue to me. That is by far the bigger issue to me. So, was it opening on the second weekend of Deadpool a contributing factor? Absolutely it was. You'd have to be a fool not to see that. So, of course, it was a factor, sure. Was it the factor, as some people try to suggest it is? I don't think so. Not by a long shot. I think you're right in the second part of your statement saying if this was a movie that was wanted, it would have done better. It simply wasn't a movie that was wanted. By a lot of, it still made close to $400 million, so clearly some people wanted it, but for the most part, en masse, it wasn't a movie anybody wanted. And I still think that is the biggest issue, by far. I was saying it all year, that that's going to be the biggest issue, and sure enough, that turned out to be the biggest issue. Let's see. Ali Hussein writes, by the way, have you seen The Last of Us 2 trailer? Yes, I did. Pretty damn impressive looking. I mean, I don't know how good the story's going to be compared to the first one, but it's certainly, visually, it looks gorgeous. Looks beautiful. So we'll have to see how it actually all works out, though. Devontae Brown writes, A-list updates for people age 18 plus and photo ID needed. Yeah, so photo ID, when you buy your ticket on your app, when you get to the theater, you may be asked for photo ID. This is absolutely something they need to do. This is absolutely something they need to do. Because it would be so easy for me. Like, for instance, let's say my buddy Rodney was in LA. It'd be so easy for me. Like, I'm not going to go to a movie tomorrow night, but Rodney, you want to go? Okay, I'll just order a ticket for myself, and I'll email you the barcode. Now, all you have to do, Rodney, is go there, show the barcode, boop, and it's like, it's really easy to game the system. So, AMC wants to make sure it's not being manipulated, so they may ask for photo ID. It's a totally reasonable thing. I get it. You have to take some kind of step like that. So I get it. I didn't know about the 18 plus. I didn't know people under 18 couldn't use it though. I don't know how many people under 18 have credit cards, so maybe it's a moot point. But honestly, I didn't know about that part, Devontae. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I don't know if that affects a lot of people, but maybe it affects some of you guys. I'm not really sure. But thanks for pointing that out, Devontae. I didn't know that. Kim Young-hoon writes, Hi, John. What is your favorite comic book-based movie sequel? Mine is Secret of the Secret of the Use. It's not flawless, absolutely not, but nothing beats nostalgia through VCR. Okay, I love that thing. My favorite, probably, wow, X-Men 2, Spider-Man 2, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Both of those films, for a period of time, I thought were the greatest comic book movies ever made. I thought X-Men 2 was the greatest comic book movie ever made for a while. Then I thought Spider-Man 2 was the greatest comic book movie ever made for a while. What are some other just pure sequels? Can't think of a lot off the top of my head. The Dark Knight, which is a sequel to Batman Begins. Yeah. I'll go, I mean, but then Logan is really a standalone movie, but I guess you could, it's totally not in continuity with the other Logan movies, but I guess you could say it's a sequel, but nah, it's not a sequel, it's a standalone film, Logan. So I'll go Dark Knight, and which is also one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, top 2 or 3 for sure, maybe the number 1 depending on who you ask. So I'll go Dark Knight on that one. Let's see, Terry Kanu Irogubu, so I'm sure I'm butchering your name, man, forgive me. Captain Marvel can move planets. Overpowered? Well, I don't really care. I really don't care what comic book characters can and can't do in the comics. It's really, like, because quite often what they can do in the comics is not what they can do in the movie. They do an adaptation of the character when they bring them into the movies. So just because Captain America might be able to do one thing in the comic books, that does not mean she's going to be able to do that in the movies. Just because Hulk can do certain things in the comic books does not mean they have him that powered up clearly in the movies. So, so as of right now, there's no answer to that question. We haven't seen Captain Marvel in the movies yet. It's coming. It's coming in March. Coming soon. And we'll find out pretty soon. But let's see what they actually do with the character in the movies before we make any pronunciations about whether the character's overpowered or not. Let's see how they actually play them out on the big screen. All right. Ali Hussein follows up. Why do I have a feeling that every Spider-Man movie is going to have home in every title? I have no problem with that. Oh, I'm starting to suspect they might. Because you hear Kevin Feige talk about it. Kevin Feige, when talking about the Far From Home title, he one of the things he pointed to that we like the home aspect in the title. So, you know, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Home Run, Spider-Man Home Alone. I mean, whatever home thing you want to put in there. And I'm with you, Ali. I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm perfectly fine with coming up with a motif and like a theme you want to go for your titling. And stick with it, as long as you make it fit in. And it sounds like Far From Home does fit with the movie, because a lot of the movie doesn't take place in New York. It takes place around the world, that Kevin Feige said. So as long as you make it make sense to the movie, I'm all for it. Put the word home in every single Spider-Man movie. I'm totally down with that. Let's see. Luna Comics writes, haven't heard your thoughts on the IHOP situation. You know what? I just recently heard about this. So for those of you who have not, and I'm not completely acquainted with it, so the International House of Pancakes, IHOP, apparently has changed its name to International House of Breakfast, IHOB. I have two minds on this. Not that anybody cares, because I maybe go to IHOP once a year anyway. But two minds on this. Number one, yeah, there are probably a lot of people out there who think IHOP just serves pancakes. And you want to make sure they understand, no, this is a full breakfast place, man. You can get eggs and sausage and steak and eggs and whatever you want, man. We got all your breakfast food. Okay, I get that. But at the other hand, from a marketing point of view, IHOP, it's such a recognized brand powerhouse. IHOP. Everybody knows IHOP. It does not work nearly as well when you say it as IHOB. I don't know. So I'm kind of two different minds about it. What do you guys prefer, IHOP or IHOB? You guys let me know in the comment section. Zombitron 5678 writes, I was watching Ultron and I realized something. I'm surprised you didn't. Quicksilver tagged Hawkeye. I love Tag, man. Great, heartwarming movie. I was really pleasantly surprised by Tag. Now, look, when I heard about the movie, didn't think much of it. I saw the trailers. I thought, this could be really nice. But I wasn't expecting how much I enjoyed it. Not a fantastic movie. Not a movie that's going to be not my top 10 movies of the year or anything. But, damn, it's a nice little film. And you're right, it's heartwarming. Pardon me, it's heartwarming. It's got, like, great juvenile kind of humor in it that I really dig. But it's also got some really good emotion and really nice heartwarming moments as well. It's just overall a really nice little movie that I plan on seeing again. It's a really good night out, and you know this is the type of movie you can take your girlfriend to watch. It's the type of movie you can take your buddies to go watch. It's yeah, if you haven't seen Tag, get on it. I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised that you did. Again, don't go expecting the next 40-year-old virgin, but again, it's a real nice little comedy that's got more dimensions to it than you might think, and I think it's quite an enjoyable movie, so go check it out. Thanks for that, Zombitron. All right, James Welsh writes, so I looked into the movie Green Book after hearing about it on your show the other day. Peter Farrelly is directing it in his solo debut, or Farley, I should say, in his solo debut. I am curious to see how he does with drama away from comedy. Yeah, so for those of you who didn't see, we talked about it on the John Campia show the other day. So this Green Book movie, it's Mahershala Ali and, why am I forgetting Aragorn's name? Oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Oh, I feel so stupid. I just had a brain freeze. Let's see here. Lord of the Rings cast. I'm just completely embarrassed that I'm Viggo Mortensen. Why did I freeze in that? Anyway, Ali and Viggo Mortensen star in it, right? And I think it's set in the 50s or 60s. And Viggo Mortensen is kind of the bodyguard driver for Ali, who's like some famous musician. And they have to travel. They have to use this thing called the Negro Green Book is the name of the book, right? And it's apparently like a guidebook to the safe places you can travel to and stay as a Black American at that time. It sounds fascinating to me, but adding on top of that, the fascination is the cast, which is obviously great. But adding on top of that is the director of Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary is directing it. You're right. I'm fascinated. I'm already on board, completely fascinated with the concept of the movie. The fact that he's directing it really adds to the intrigue for me. And let's see. I completely agree with you, James. It's going to be really interesting to see what he does, what kind of sensibilities he has outside of comedy. By the way, he did another little comedy with Jason Sudeikis called Hall Pass that nobody liked. actually I thought it was actually kind of funny. Nobody else likes it. If you get a chance to check out Hall Pass, check it out and let me know if you were one of those people that, like everybody else, didn't like it, or if you were kind of like in the minority like me and actually thought it was kind of funny. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, let's move on. Next one comes to us from Dakota Barber, who writes, Beautiful Boy trailer dropped today. Looks great. It does look great. Steve Carell, Academy Award nominated actor Steve Carell, Academy Award nominated actor Timothy, I always mispronounce his last name, Chalamet or something like that. He was in Call Me By Your Name, and he got nominated for Best Lead Actor for that. Now he's in this movie with Steve Carell. Powerful looking trailer. It looks great. Steve Carell plays Timothy's dad, and it's about drug addiction and tearing people apart. And it looks awesome. And I got to admit, too, Amy Ryan's in it, too. And I thought, oh, my God, it's an Office reunion. For those of you who watch The Office, you know Michael Scott ends his run on The Office by moving away and marrying Amy Ryan's character. And apparently they're a couple, or a divorced couple. I couldn't really tell from the trailer. In this movie, so I was like, yeah, it's an Office reunion. It's not a comedy. But yeah, if you haven't seen, listen to Dakota. If you haven't seen the trailer for Beautiful Boy yet, check it out. It is a powerful looking trailer. It looks really good. I'm very excited about seeing it. Let's see. Luna Comics writes, have you seen the Robot Chicken DC specials? Never Laugh So Hard. You know what? I have not. I haven't. I've seen all their Star Wars stuff, but I've never seen their DC specials, and now I'm going to have to look them up. Do me a favor, Luna, if you wouldn't mind. If you got links to, sometimes Robot Chicken puts their stuff up online. If you got any links to any of that stuff, can you send me some links? Or if they've got some of the sketches from those specials on YouTube or anything, would you mind dropping me a line and emailing me? Just at john@thejohncampiashow.com. Just email me at john@thejohncampiashow.com and send that to me if you wouldn't mind, because I would love to check some of that stuff out. All right, John K. writes, I own 2 shares of Fox. I'm going to stop the merger. Well, I mean, hey, John, you convinced some of your enough of your other fellow shareholders to do it. You do have the power to determine who gets it and what happens to it and all that kind of stuff. You have the power to do it. Maybe not a lot of power, but you got some of it, so use it wisely, John. All right, next up, Derek Woodron writes, Movie Pass sacrifice brought us AMC A-list. Thank you. Well, you know, it's funny, Derek. I've heard a few other people saying that, too, is that, hey, if Movie Pass is the thing that paved the way for Cinemark has got their movie club, AMC's got theirs now, Alamo Draft Houses has already announced they're rolling out testing theirs. You know Regal's going to have theirs soon. But the reality is, it wasn't Movie Pass. It was the Cineworld thing. In the UK, there's been this Cineworld membership for unlimited movies for like £20 a month. And apparently that's been around for almost 10 years. And working really well over there. And I think, if anything, that's probably what laid the groundwork for movie theaters here. And it's probably that model. It's not the Movie Pass model. It's not the Cinemia model. It's the Cineworld model that the North American theater chains seem to be imitating. So I'm not trying to kick a horse while it's down, but I honestly don't even think Movie Pass deserves that credit, to be honest with you. Okay, let's see. Sid Vicious writes, I noticed that Christian Bale uglifies himself in almost every role except Bruce Wayne. I feel that he might be a bigger movie star if he didn't do that. Okay, first of all, Sid, he does not uglify himself. First of all, just in Hostiles, he looks great in Hostiles. There was The Promise. He looks great in The Promise. You mentioned the Batman movies. What are some other ones, though? What are some of the more recent ones here? He looked perfectly normal and great in The Big Short. He looked great in Out of the Furnace. He looks great. I mean, skinny, but I mean, he looks pretty good in The Fighter. He looked good in Public Enemies. He looked good in Terminators. I'm not really sure. I know there's a couple of little films, like maybe American Hustle, that he uglified himself for, or whatever. But I think I think for the most part he doesn't. And no, I think him doing what he needs to do to play a role is what makes him a big star. I don't think if he refused to do that, that would make him a bigger star. He's already one of the biggest stars in the world, so no, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, Sid. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. All right. ZCM Zombie writes, have you watched the new TV show Yellowstone, the one with Kevin Costner? I have not. But I've heard good things. You guys know me. I don't have a lot of time to watch television, so I only have like a handful of shows that I really watch. But I gotta say, I'm hearing good things, so I may have to check it out. ZCM. Do me next time you write in or email me something. Let me know what you think about the show. I'm hearing good things, but email me and let me know what you think. ZCM follows up. Are you more excited for Sicario 2 or Uncle Drew? Gotta be honest, not excited for either of them, but I'm certainly more curious for Sicario 2. At least there's some potential upside there. I can just tell Uncle Drew's going to be trash. The trailers look garbage. Never smiled once. It's a movie based on like a 1990s series of sneaker commercials. It looks ridiculous. It looks completely ridiculous. So I have absolutely zero interest in that movie whatsoever. Sicario, on the other hand, it might be bad. I'm not hearing some great things about it, but at least it's got the potential to have some really good stuff in it. So I'm going to say Sicario 2. All right. This just in writes. Oh, did I miss one? No. This just in writes. Is Hamilton's success and Lin-Manuel Miranda's name enough to sell the recently announced In the Heights movie to non-Broadway fans? Well, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, there was, before Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda was a part of this other Tony Award-winning, that won like the Tony for Best Musical, called In the Heights. Later, Hamilton came along and everybody forgot about In the Heights. And then In the Heights became the center of a massive bidding war. Every studio wanted to make this movie. Eventually, earlier this year, Warner Brothers ended up winning it. I believe John M. Chu is on board to direct the film. And Chu, his next movie coming out looks really good. It's called Crazy Rich Asians. So that movie's coming out. He's directing that. And then he's on board to direct this In the Heights thing that Lin-Manuel is attached to and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. Is Hamilton's success and Lin-Manuel Miranda's name enough to sell the movie? No, that's not enough. It's going. I mean, that'll give it a little bit of a head start. You know, the Broadway fan base, people who know who Lin-Manuel Miranda is, that'll give it a little bit of a head start. But it's not enough to sell the movie. Making a quality-looking movie with a great marketing campaign. And by the way, if you read the reports about, you know, the bidding war, part of what the studios were doing was also pitching to Lin-Manuel Miranda and his partners in John M. Chu, is like, they brought their marketing departments and said, this is how we would market the film. So you're going to need a really strong marketing campaign. You got to make a movie that looks really good. These all things are just paramount, because no, Lin-Manuel Miranda's name alone and the fact that it was a Tony-winning play alone, not enough to make it make back its money. It's going to have to be a good-looking movie that they market the right way. Combine that with Lin-Manuel Miranda's name and with the Tony success and with the Broadway fan base. You combine that, and then you've got something there. Then you've got a recipe for success. But it's absolutely going to take a good-looking movie that's marketed the right way. Because just by itself, Lin-Manuel's name and the Broadway base alone, not enough to sell it. So that's just kind of how I feel about that. Let's see. Mr. Undecided Voter, love that name. Used my A-list yesterday for Black Panther. Yes, it's still showing at the AMC Empire 25. That's hilarious. I live within a 2.5 mile radius of 6 AMC, so this is a win for me. You're kind of in the same predicament as me. I live about a 10 to 15 minute walk from 3 AMC theaters. Actually, there's 3 AMC theaters all within one block. You got the big one, AMC Burbank 16. And then right across the street is a mall. And in that mall, there are 2 other AMC theaters, an AMC 6 and an AMC 8. And for the longest time, AMC, the only reason the AMC kept running those theaters, the AMC 6 and the AMC 8, was because if they ever left it, some other movie theater chain was going to come into their neighborhood. And right now, AMC owns Burbank. Like, if you want to see a movie in Burbank, you got to go to an AMC theater. So AMC for quite some time only operated those 2 theaters, and they were trashy, disgusting theaters that nobody wanted to go to. But they just kept operating them because it kept other movie theaters from moving in. But then about a year ago, they totally renovated both the AMC 6 and the AMC 8 to put in the big plush leather recliner seats, make it a real premium feeling theater. And now the Burbank 6 and the Burbank 8, the AMC 6 and the AMC 8 are great places to go see movies. So yeah, I'm kind of in the same situation as you. I got these 3 great theaters, all AMCs, all within a 10 to 15 minute walk for me. So you've got like 6 AMC theaters within 2.5 miles. For people like you and I, that makes this really good. Not everybody's in as good a position as we are, but it's for people like us that a deal like this is especially good. All right. Preston Walden writes, nobody puts baby in a corner unless your movie pass. And then, yes, you put baby in a corner. I like that. That's good. Very well. Very well put. Michael Solaric writes, I got the Stubbs A-list, going to see Tag today. Again, Tag's been coming up a lot the last couple of days. It's funny how many people I've had writing into me saying getting the A-list membership and I'm going to go see Tag. It's like everybody's just been waiting to see Tag. They've been waiting for this membership just so they can go see Tag. But totally worthy, totally deserving movie to get you to go see it. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed it, man. And the final question today, and then we are all caught up. Celestial Marmalade, again, another great name. You guys come up with some great names. Celestial Marmalade writes, hey, John, love your channel. Thank you so much, man. I'm a little nervous. This is my first question I've ever sent in. Well, thank you for sending in a question, man. What are your thoughts on the film Where the Wild Things Are? It's my favorite film. You know what? I've got a friend back home that if it's not her absolute favorite movie in the world, it's definitely one, probably in her top 2 or 3 favorite movies in the world, is Where the Wild Things Are. And she just adored that film, loved it, blah, blah, blah. I like the film very much. It's directed by Spike Jonze, who, he directed Her. That got a lot of people talking. That one with George Clooney, the Iraq one, We Kings? The Kings? Three Kings. Three Kings. He directed that. He directed some really good stuff. I like the film. I like the film. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think it was great. I liked it. But yeah, my girlfriend, she just went bonkers for it. Absolutely bonkers for it. So just on that basis alone, the film always has a very special place in my heart just because I got a friend who adores it so much. I like the film, just not one of my favorites, but I got a friend who's right with you there, Celestial. Totally digs that film completely. All right, guys. We are now all caught up with all of our Super Chat questions that you guys have sent in on the John Campea Show and Open Mic. Thank you guys, not just for sending in questions and giving us great topics for discussion as movie fans, but thank you for supporting the channel. You guys sending this stuff in keeps this show on the air. It gives me a job. It gives Fact Checker Jonathan a job. It gives our graphics guy Ray a job. So thank you guys for not only giving us great topics to discuss, but for supporting the channel as well. You have no idea how grateful I am, so thank you so much for that. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks so much for being here. Don't you guys forget that we got the John Campea Show at 8:30 in the morning covering all the major movie news. And then, of course, Open Mic at 2 o'clock in the afternoons with some other stuff sprinkled in here and there as well. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.